India's blockbuster Prime Minister is gearing up for another election. Narendra Modi is widely popular, both in India and overseas. He gets a rock-star welcome when he goes abroad, largely thanks to a massive Indian diaspora.
Prime Minister Modi is the boss!
Narendra Modi, au nom de la République française, nous vous élevons à la dignité de Grand Croix de la Légion d'honneur.
But there's no shortage of critics.
That's the signature statement of this Modi government. Democracy is being assassinated.
ये चुनाव वोट वाला चुनाव नहीं है, ये चुनाव हिंदुस्तान को बचाने वाला चुनाव है, संविधान की रक्षा वाला चुनाव है.
No matter where you land on Modi, he cannot be ignored. This year, the 73-year-old Prime Minister is gunning for a third term in office, and surveys say he is in pole position. This is the world's largest democracy and the most populous country on earth, with almost 1 billion voters. So, what would another 5 years of Mr. Modi's BJP government mean for India's 1.4 billion people? And can the opposition mount a defence? We'll find out when India votes in 2024. Welcome to this special series on the Indian election. I'm Hannah Joes, and over the next 6 weeks, we'll take you beyond the bluster to look at the issues that matter to Indian voters. Nearly 1 billion people are eligible to vote in this election. So let's take a look at how the world's largest democracy goes through the process. As you can imagine, elections in India are always big, whether it's national or state. The country routinely holds the largest democratic exercise on earth. And this year, like the last few, it's the biggest it's ever been. 15 million more people have been added to the voter registry than 5 years ago. And this year, more than 1,000 candidates are likely to run, and they're all vying for one of 543 seats in India's parliament. They'll be clamouring for the votes of around 1 billion citizens. And that's including a huge number of youth voters. In fact, around 17 million young Indians will have the right to vote for the very first time.
You should go and vote, and that is my request to all the youngsters.
From cricketers to film stars, politicians to celebrities, when it's time to vote, millions of Indians turn out. Now, voting in India is not compulsory. But in the last election in 2019, voter turnout was 67%. That's the highest ever in Indian history. There is no doubt that most of the seats will be hotly contested in a first-past-the-post system. And what that means is that the candidate with the most number of votes in each constituency is the winner. So how does a country this huge go about collecting and protecting its votes? Well, because of the crush of numbers, Indian elections are held in phases. Voters across the country will head to the booths at staggered intervals. And this year, there will be 7 phases, starting from April 19th and ending on the 1st of June. The votes will then be counted, and the results are expected to be announced on the 4th of June.
We are committed to give the nation a truly festive democratic environment.
Now, this election is an enormous exercise. So how does the Election Commission of India collect these votes? Well, firstly, they will employ 15 million poll workers. Yeah, that's right, 15 million. That is almost the entire population of New York and London combined. They'll be deployed across 1 million polling booths right across the country. And to help with this gargantuan task, India is one of the few countries that uses electronic voting on a large scale. They're called EVMs, or electronic voting machines, and they're deployed all across India, even in hard-to-reach areas. Getting there by any means of transport, even if it means getting on a boat or an elephant. Here's how the EVM works. At the voting booth, the voter is directed towards the machine in privacy. They cast their vote by pressing the button indicating a party's symbol, and therefore the candidate of their choice. All parties have at different times cast suspicion on EVMs, saying they can be tampered with. And they often do this when they lose.
EVM, उसका नाम EVM नहीं है, उसका नाम MVM है, मतलब मोदी वोटिंग मशीन.
But the Election Commission and former election officials have said EVMs cannot be tampered with.
EVMs are foolproof devices for counting, and allegations of tampering are baseless.
And they are still in use. Technology is changing how the election game is played. Social media is now front and center, alongside the more traditional campaign methods. So yes, we will still see the massive political rallies we're used to, but parties are also spending a lot of time and energy reaching out to voters through Meta, WhatsApp, YouTube, X, and Instagram. Narendra Modi has millions of followers on his social media accounts. His main challenger in this fight is the Congress Party. The Congress is the major partner in a seemingly fragile new alliance. And the alliance has gone all in, bringing together a range of regional parties in a coalition to defeat the BJP. A coalition that says it is fighting for India's very soul. 53-year-old Rahul Gandhi is the top leader of the Indian National Congress, and he's at the helm of the alliance called I.N.D.I.A. Gandhi too has successfully used social media to corral millions of his supporters. Indian elections can be notoriously hard to predict, but most polls are giving the win comfortably to the BJP and Narendra Modi. Whoever wins will take charge of a $3.7 trillion economy, the fifth largest in the world. And this next term will be crucial, with the BJP saying it wants to make India the third largest economy in the world. So will it be the nationalist BJP flexing its electoral muscle again? Or can the new India alliance break its hold? The result will determine the makeup of a parliament that will chart the course for the country for the next 5 years.
This is the Indian Parliament, the seat of power in the world's largest democracy. It's where some of the nation's biggest decisions are made and laws are passed.
311, 311, 311, ना 80, 80, विधेयक पारित हुआ.
And when the stakes are high, tempers can run hot, very hot.
People like you need to remember what was told to the British: quit India, corruption quit India, dynasty quit India.
And sometimes there are moments like these. The chambers of India's federal parliament have seen it all, including the very birth of this republic.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
76 years after this historic speech, India's parliament moved to this brand spanking new building in New Delhi, inaugurated in May last year by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. And very soon, nearly 1 billion people will have the chance to vote for the members who will represent them in this lower house for the next 5 years. So how does it all work? How can these few hundred politicians effectively represent 1.4 billion Indians? Does India need more MPs? And what's the current state of play? We'll get to those questions soon, but let's start with the very basics. The government of India is modelled after the Westminster system. This means its parliament consists of the president, the lower house and the upper house. The lower house of parliament is called the Lok Sabha. In Hindi, it means the house of the people. The upper house, Rajya Sabha, is the council of states. Both of these houses are integral parts of India's parliament. Currently, this is the 17th Lok Sabha, and the 2024 election will form the 18th edition. This year, 543 Lok Sabha seats are up for grabs. Now, for any party to form government, the magic number here is 272. Each state is allocated a number of seats roughly in proportion to its population, although linguistic divisions are factored into distribution as well. For instance, India's most populous state, Uttar Pradesh, will have 80 seats, while smaller states like Telangana will have 17. MPs must be at least 25 years old and are elected for 5 years. On the other hand, you'll need to be at least 30 to enter the Rajya Sabha. Upper house members are elected by state legislators and are capped at 250 seats. A third of its members retire every second year and are replaced by newly elected ones. 12 are nominated by the president for their eminence and service to society. Remember Sachin Tendulkar? He was one of them. But unlike the cricket pitch, he was struggling to even swing the bat.
You don't want to respect a person who is a legendary in cricket in India.
But the upper house is not up for election right now, so let's go back to the Lok Sabha. What does it do? The basic function of the parliament is to make laws. Many critical legislations have been passed over the last 5 years. The Lok Sabha also holds the nation's purse strings and initiates all bills to do with money. Crucially, it passes the budget. You may have seen this, the budget briefcase, which was part of the pomp and ceremony when the annual budget was delivered. Moving on with the times, the current finance minister has gone paperless and now delivers the budget from a made-in-India tablet.
With good intentions, true dedication and hard work in the coming years and decades. With this, Honourable Speaker, I commend the interim budget to this august House. Jai Hind.
New buildings, new laws, new money, but will there be new MPs? This year's election contest is a big one, but let's take a look at the current state of play in the Lok Sabha. The ruling government is led by the Bharatiya Janata Party, the BJP. Its strong performance in the 2019 election meant it won enough seats to govern outright. But they are also part of an alliance, the National Democratic Alliance, or I.N.D.I.A, and together they have an even bigger majority. The main opposition party, the Indian National Congress, won 52 seats and was part of the United Progressive Alliance. But there is a new opposition grouping that calls itself India, or the Indian National Developmental Inclusive Alliance. Well, this new alliance is once again led by Congress, and together they have 120 seats. Forming alliances can be tricky and loyalties can fray, and that's exactly what happened recently. After the new India coalition was formed, some regional parties defected to the BJP-led I.N.D.I.A.
Nitish Kumar has walked out of the India alliance and has joined hands with the I.N.D.I.A.
In terms of gender diversity, the 17th Lok Sabha had a record number of women, 78 accounting for 14% of MPs. That's a big improvement from previous terms. Most are from the BJP, followed by 9 from the regional party, the All Indian Trinamool Congress. It does, however, pale in comparison to Western democracies. But India recently passed a landmark law to bring more women into the parliament.
Women's reservation bill has been passed in the Lok Sabha. It came after 8 hours of furious face-off in the parliament before the bill was put to vote.
It's a major step forward for India that will see 1/3 of seats reserved for women in both houses of parliament.
ये जो स्पिरिट पैदा हुआ है, ये स्पिरिट देश के जन जन में एक नया आत्मविश्वास पैदा करेगा.
But it won't be implemented in this election. That will take time. India also has a number of young guns in parliament. A little over 10% of MPs in the current lower house are below the age of 40 and come from a variety of backgrounds. Its youngest is 25-year-old Chandrani Murmu, who beat a sitting BJP MP in the state of Odisha in 2019. Not to be outdone, the BJP's Jamyang Sering Namgyal and Pravin Kumar Nishad, both in their early 30s. And there's also been some star power with actresses like Nusrat Jahan Ruhi in the mix.
Thank you.
As millions more are added to the voter list this year, One of the big questions that's emerged in recent times is representation. Are there enough elected MPs to represent a population of 1.4 billion? Now, a simple calculation tells us that on average, there's one MP for every 2.5 million people in India. That's way higher than other countries, like the US, where it's one House of Reps member to 763,000 people. It's also way higher when you compare with Indonesia, Japan, or neighboring Pakistan. So does India need more MPs?
Yes. But the bigger question is, or the harder question is, how big, right? India is a very large country in terms of population size. So if 543 is low, if you're going to have, say, 2,000 MPs, which is going to bring down, say, from 2.2 million on average to 5.5 or 600,000, having 2,000 members of parliament or in any assembly, would that be easy to manage? Second, there is a tricky issue. So in 1976, there was a freeze on the number of MPs that will represent every state. And this freeze is going to be lifted in 2026. If you go by population proportions, then the northern states are going to gain a number of seats. And southern states, because their population rate stabilized much earlier, they are going to lose some MPs.
So if 1 or 2,000 is too many, what would actually be a reasonable number of MPs in the Lok Sabha?
I think somewhere around between 800 and 850 would be a good number.
For the time being, though, it'll be the 543 elected members who will represent the views and aspirations of the people of their constituencies. The party with the most MPs will form government. But who's winning in 2024?
There is never a dull moment in Indian politics, and the past 12 months especially have been a bit of a roller coaster.
Rahul Gandhi is being found guilty in a criminal defamation case.
Ethnic violence in an Indian state has displaced more than 35,000 people. Homes burned down, people murdered, and lives permanently changed.
3 more opposition lawmakers have now been suspended from the parliament.
Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi has inaugurated a Hindu temple built on the ruins of a mosque.
The construction of this temple fulfills a long-time dream.
Police in India fired tear gas shells at crowds of protesting farmers.
The Supreme Court has struck down electoral bonds. It has declared them unconstitutional.
And it comes months ahead of national elections in which Prime Minister Narendra Modi will seek a third term.
As voters head to the polls, the big question on everyone's mind is, will this be Narendra Modi's third back-to-back term? Or can the brand new opposition alliance called India break his momentum? Ashish, thank you for joining us on India Votes 2024.
Thank you, Anna.
So your core area of research is electoral politics. So let's start with the big question on everyone's minds, which is, who seems most likely to win this election?
There is a two way to understand this thing. One is in terms of numbers, who is heading, and this can be come from the different sources of surveys and the past electoral performance. And second is the different reports which are coming from the grounds through the journalists and some of the researchers. So in terms of number, you say the past electoral history in recent times and also the different surveys, opinion polls says the BJP-led NDA or Modi-led NDA is very much ahead. However, in politics, even a week in politics is a long time. The campaign has started, but it's still 2 months long time. We will have to see how it is going to translate.
This time around, Indian elections will be held in 7 phases, as voting kicks off on April 19th and winds up on the 1st of June. Several pre-poll surveys in India have indicated the Narendra Modi-led National Democratic Alliance will win enough seats to comfortably form a government for a historic third term.
$350 to the BJP, the allies get 61 seats, the Congress short of 50 seats. The Congress is at 49 and the allies of the Congress, allies in the I.N.D.A. alliance, The smaller parties, perhaps some of the regional Chhatraps, gain more. They collectively have 56 seats compared to the National Party, that is Congress Party, at 49.
Now, whether it's news channels or news websites, Indian media is awash with such polls. Election analyst Ashish Ranjan says the number of pre-polls and surveys has grown in the past 2 decades. But is that a good thing?
Many times they got right in terms of seat share or towards the seat share, but they are most of the time they fail to near about the vote share.
Ashish says that while insights on the number of seats is important, we need to pay closer attention to vote share.
The number of survey agencies has gone, but the qualities of survey has not been much grown.
The most recent opinion poll says if elections are held today, the Bharatiya Janata Party alone is projected to win 342 seats, while the opposition bloc, the India Alliance, is projected to win about 144. Recent events like the arrest of a key opposition leader, I.N.D.I.A, Kejriwal, and the freezing of the opposition's bank accounts has galvanized the opposition bloc, the India Alliance. Mr. Kejriwal, the Chief Minister of Delhi and the leader of the opposition I.N.D.I.A Party, was arrested as part of a corruption probe by the Enforcement Directorate, one of the 2 main Indian agencies tasked with looking at financial crimes. He is the first sitting Chief Minister ever arrested in India's history. He has denied all wrongdoing and says he is the victim of a political vendetta. The same day of Mr. Kejriwal's arrest, the Congress Party claimed that Indian tax authorities had frozen its bank accounts over alleged undeclared cash income, leaving them unable to cover campaign expenses. Weeks ahead of this month's election, the coalition put up a show of strength at its first national level rally.
अगर हिंदुस्तान में मैच फिक्सिंग का चुनाव बीजेपी जीते और उसके बाद संविधान को उन्होंने बदला, तो इस पूरे देश में आग लगने जा रही है। ये जो उनका 400 सीट का नारा है, ये बिना ईवीएम के, बिना मैच फिक्सिंग के, बिना सोशल मीडिया और प्रेस पर दबाव डालकर खरीदकर ये 180 पार नहीं होने जा रहा है।
The BJP, in their defense, have said that law enforcement agencies are independent of the government and are merely doing their job to fight corruption.
अब सवाल ये है कि ईडी ने काम क्या किया है। एक स्वतंत्र एजेंसी है, वो स्वतंत्र रूप से काम कर रही है, न उसे हम रोकते हैं न उसे हम भेजते हैं। उसको स्वतंत्र रूप से काम करना होगा और कोर्ट के तराजू में उसको सही निकलना होगा।
Unfazed by rallies and attacks, the BJP has intensified its focus on the southern states this time around to win an even bigger majority. Narendra Modi's southern push has a nuanced approach this time. The BJP have tied up with a host of small regional parties to consolidate political support. On his part, the Prime Minister has made multiple visits to the south lately, met with regional leaders, launched development projects, and visited temples. And yet, it won't be easy. What is your reading of what's happening in the southern states?
So southern, barring Karnataka, which used to be a BJP or Congress versus BJP bipolar states, in 2019, BJP has been able to gain substantially in Telangana as well. So apart from these 2 states, it is still a very tough challenge to the BJP to gain substantially.
And then there are the other battleground states. There are 5 key states that political pundits are closely watching this election. West Bengal is uniquely placed, where major parties BJP and Congress are working hard to gain influence. The regional party, the All India Trinamool Congress, led by Mamata Banerjee, dominates the political scene here. The state has 42 seats and sends the 3rd highest number of members to parliament. In Maharashtra, it's complicated. The 2 key regional parties there, Shiv Sena and the Nationalist Congress Party, or the NCP, have recently split. political leaders in this state have now formed new alliances. This state is home to 48 seats. In the 2019 polls, the BJP emerged as the top party here with 23 seats, and their regional ally in the previous elections, the Shiv Sena, won 18. But the splits in key political parties has made the contest this time around much more interesting. Karnataka, where the BJP had success in the 2019 elections, recently saw the Congress party come to power after winning the state elections. The BJP is contesting in alliance with a regional party here, the Janata Dal Secular, while Congress is contesting alone. Karnataka has a total of 28 seats. The other state to watch in the south is Telangana. 6 months ago, the Congress won the state elections here. The BJP won 4 seats in 2019, and this time around is fighting without any alliances. The state has 17 seats in total. Tamil Nadu, a state with 39 parliamentary constituencies, is another state that will be keenly watched. The Congress party has teamed up with the regional heavyweight, the Dravida Munnetra Karagam, or the DMK in the state. In 2019, this alliance bagged 38 out of 39 seats. The BJP and the I.N.D.I.A will have to make significant inroads in Tamil Nadu to achieve their goal of crossing 400 seats. We're talking about seat numbers here, 272, but one of the BJP's campaign slogans has been Char So Par, which means they say they're going to get more than 400 seats in this election. How likely do you think that is?
It's very difficult and it's almost impossible. And the reason is very simple. BJP has currently 38% vote share and 303 parliamentary seats. In 2019, BJP gained 6% votes and 21 seats in respect of 2014. So, if BJP wants to get 370 seats, BJP needs extra 7 to 8% vote share. And these extra 7 to 8% vote share can come only two ways. One, of course, which is the tough challenge, is BJP gain massively in southern states. In the second, BJP needs to gain vote significant 7 to 8% or almost 10% within the OBC community. I feel that's within the SC and ST, BJP is not going to gain much from the previous election. And upper caste, they have already exhausted. I mean, and Muslim, they can't get. So only the OBC. Unless BJP gets 8 to 9% the OBC vote. So for me, it's a very difficult, almost impossible to get 370 seats for the BJP and of course the 400 seats for the I.N.D.I.A line.
The BJP appears stronger than ever, but at the same time, the new opposition India alliance seems to have a spring in its step. For now, it's over to the voters. And that brings us to the end of our first episode of India Votes 2024. In our next episode, we'll take stock of the hundreds of millions spent on political campaigns this year. And Narendra Modi's push to gain precious ground in southern India. Until then, namaste.